Hello, welcome to Charter Communications Local Edition, a program featuring leaders from the legislature and government across Montana to talk about the issues of the day. We're here at the third day of the 2015 legislative session with one of the longest serving state officials in many branches, Senator John Brenden from Scobie. John, we were talking before we started. Give me just a quick snapshot of your history in government service over the last 50 years.
Well, Ron Marlin, he came from Scobie where I did, and we flipped a coin who was going to run for Congress, and he lost. So ran. So I was his finance chairman. And then I was very active in the Republican Party. Then what happened after that was that I became state chairman of the Republican Party when Ronald Reagan was president. And then after that, I was on the state chairman for Stan Stevens' gubernatorial campaign, and he appointed me the head of all boards and commissions for appointments. And then I was on the Northwest Power Planning Council.
Which is a conversation all in itself.
Right. And then Governor Judy Martz appointed me on the Fish and Game Commission. But prior to that, I was in the Senate in the 90s. And then after the Fish and Game Commission, I decided to run again for the Senate, and that was in 2008. And I've been here ever since. So I've been around here for over 50 years.
And this session, you will chair the Senate Fish and Game
That's correct.
Commission, which you did last time as well.
Right.
And what else are you on?
Well, I'm on the Finance Committee, and then I'm on the Finance Committee Subcommittee of Natural Resources. I'm Vice Chairman. And then I'm on Natural Resources Committee, and also I'm Chairman of the Committee on Committees that appoints all the senators to their positions in their Senate.
Yeah, so they don't mess with you.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, so at the same time, so you're plugged in statewide, and you're in leadership, so you're involved in the statewide agenda, but you still are the senator from your own district. So tell me an issue that blends both of them.
Well, what really happens in northeastern Montana, my Senate district goes from North Dakota to north of Hingham, Montana, which is 52% of the U.S.-Canadian border, which is 182 or 5 miles of the 545 miles. So it's a big district.
Population?
Population 18,000.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, the big one for us, is natural resources. It's buffalo. It's the sage grouse issue. And there's a bunch of people out there that want to make it the big open where I have a farm and had businesses all my life. And of course, I'm supporting all my folks at home. They're farmers and ranchers and small business folks. And we like the way our life is, and we don't like too much government interference.
And what will be the biggest issue that focuses on those multiple?
Well, I think the biggest issue that we've got going forward is the feds blackmailing us into the sage grouse issue, because there's a taking of private property rights there.
For those who don't know that, encapsulize it as quick, as condensed as you could.
There's about 11 states, and there's 2 states that have a lot of sage grouse, and that's Wyoming and Montana. We don't have a shortage, but the feds and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife says there's a shortage, so they're putting Montana into the mix. So they want to run that whole operation, which in the end result can be a taking of private property rights, and I could go into a long discussion on that, but it could stop you from building a home on your place. It could stop an oil well from being drilled on your land. It could stop from electricity coming to your home. So that's some of that. Because
it would be on this property where it would interfere with sage grouse.
With sage grouse.
What can the Montana legislature do one way or the other about that, given that it sounds like it's a federal issue, or is it?
It's a federal issue, but they're forcing the state of Montana to take over, and we're better off having the state handle it than the feds, and it'd be better off if the local entities, like our local counties, could handle it better. But the last thing we want to have is the sage grouse put on the endangered species list, because that will affect all of us in all our businesses and economics up in our area.
So mechanically, though, here in the legislature, what would happen? The legislature would come up with a resolution to put the federal government on notice.
Well, you know, resolutions are fine, and I've done a few of those myself, but they only have the power of the paper.
That's what I.
And
that's why I'm
there's no
asking.
power there. And really, something like that is where the real power can be, is if something can be done with our U.S. Congress.
And if you put enough force from this legislature before, that gives them the message,
Right.
and it empowers them in D.C.
And what they want us to do, they want to spend $10 million for habitat and et cetera here in Montana, and they want to foist that on the back of taxpayers. Well, if we're being blackmailed, which I believe we are by the federal government, we should have the feds pay for it and not our taxpayers in Montana.
John, we could talk all night, and several times we have. But
Right,
these
we
are
have,
only
Mark.
10-minute interviews, and so I'm going to ask you to close by just saying you're driving away from here 90 days from now. Helen is in the rearview mirror. You're going back to God's country from whence you came. What do you hope to have accomplished?
Well, I'll tell you what, every once in a while in my blue mood, I think, what the hell have I done in my life here in politics? And then I start thinking of small things, most of the work that we do is to help constituents and to open the doors to the bureaucracies and get some decisions that affect their lives, ordinary people's lives. And I think that's the most important thing that I've done, and the most important thing that I think legislators can do is help their constituents. And I'll tell you what, I'm a conservative, and I'm very liberal with my own money at times, but I'm very conservative with the Montana checkbook.
Good for you, and have a great session, and thanks for stopping to talk to us.
Thank you, Mark, and Happy New Year.
Nice to see you again.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in.